Well, it's Tuesday, the 11th of April, and we're racing at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. I trust that you all had a lovely long Easter weekend, and if you've been playing the horses, hopefully everything's going according to plan from the entire team at Gallop TV. Graham Hawkins, our analyst for Cape Town, and myself, Dee Steiner. Welcome to the show. It's 9 races at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth, and race number 1 will begin at 12:10. It's over 1,200 meters. Graham, how was your long Easter weekend with the family?
Wonderful weekend. The weather here in Cape Town was absolutely superb. There is a little bit of rain around later on today. We're recording this show on Monday morning, Easter Monday morning, as we go into Tuesday's race meeting at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. But I don't think enough to alter the state of the going very much.
Well, I mentioned 9 races carded, so race number 1 wouldn't form part of the exotics, but it'll be nice to try and play a particular bet, whatever bet you fancy, to try and bank some cash here. I'll just give you the betting, horses in single figures. Number 3, Snow Pilot, is at 7-2. 8, Mojo Man at 7-1. 9, Monumental, is at 8-1. I mentioned single figures, but I took down the betting of number 10, Silver Crown, who's a 10-1 shot. I thought that could represent some value. And then from Hollywood Bets, who give us the betting updates, number 13, Future Variety, opened up 5-2. That's been supported into 18-10. And it looks like the right money is coming for the right horse in the race here, Graham, in race number 1.
Yes, certainly number 13, Future Variety, has got every chance of improving on its debut when it ran second to Dual Cat. In that very same race, Mojo Man, number 8 on the card, was 3/4 of a length back in third. And given that Mojo Man had previous racing experience, and this was Future Variety's debut, it's reasonable to expect Future Variety to show further improvement. There's not much on collateral form to choose between numbers 3, Snow Pilot, 8, Mojo Man, and 13, Future Variety. And I do think that number 3, Snow Pilot, is going to prove a lot of his last run when he was drawn out deep at Hollywoodbets Durbanville, forced to use up a lot of petrol in the early part of the race and failed by 3/4 of a length to beat Gallop Preview. Now, in that race, Mojo Man was marginally in front of him, but Mojo Man was drawn better that day. So it does point to Future Variety perhaps having the edge over Snow Pilot and Mojo Man. Monumental, good debut, third to Spring Palace. I'm not sure how strong that form is going to be. And you mentioned number 10, Silver Crown. Interesting runner, because on the 11th of February, when third behind Icy Blast, he had Snow Pilot behind him, but that was Snow Pilot's debut, and it was Silver Crown's second run. So yes, the money is coming for number 13, Future Variety, which kind of suggests that he's certainly come on with the benefit of his first run. But he'll have to go all out to beat Snow Pilot and Mojo Man again, with Silver Crown perhaps filling up the minor placings. A couple of well-bred first-timers, D's. The first 2 races are both maiden juvenile plates for 200,000 Rand, another innovation from Cape Racing. And as a consequence, I think the trainers have stepped out their better 2-year-olds in search of this rich prize money. So the first 2 races for 200,000 Rand juvenile maidens, going to be interesting to see how it all pans out. And I think both of these form lines will be ones to follow.
Yeah, that's what I was going to add. I think these form lines of these juveniles in the first 2 races definitely worth taking note of. But race number 1, well, hopefully the money is spot on with the right horse in the race, number 13, Future Variety. On to race number 2. Now here where it becomes very interesting, but this starts off the Bipod, and there's a lot of unknowns in the race. It's over 1,200 meters, and at the time of recording, this is the betting. Horses in single figures. Number 4, Jet to the Sun, at 5-1. We got an even money shot here, Graham. A 2-year-old filly, daughter of What a Winter, called Distant Winter, who's at even money. 9 is at 7-1. 10, the first timer, which is Justin Snaith and Richard Fourie, that's trading at 7-1, and then it is 10-1 and Better the Balance. She's got the experience, Graham, having had 3 starts. Is she an even money shot, or is that too skinny at the time of recording?
I'm going to be bold here, Dees. I'm going to say that's quite generous. I think this is the best bet on the card. Any of the first-timers are going to have to be cherry ripe and very forward to beat Distant Winter. If you look at her form, she's run second twice to Winter Cloud. Last time out in the nursery, a clear second, beating home some talented horses behind her. She was second in between those 2 runs to Raskova, also feature race winner. So I think Distant Winter is a natural bipod banker. I think she must rate. These cards in Cape Town are very competitive. Lots of runners in every race with chances. But in this one, I'm happy to label number 6, Distant Winter, as the best bet on the card. She should get it right.
Short and sweet, back to this type of company. Graham thinks even money. You can start off your doubles and trebles and whatever bets you fancy, and maybe even try and take some of that even money. You are doubling your money, and that's what it's all about, making a profit. Race number 2, the start of the bipod. Then on to the place accumulator, guys, which will start off at 13:20. That's the time you need to have your bets on. It's over 1,000 meters. And we got a first timer here, number 1, Elusive Winter, for the Harold Crawford and Michelle Rick stable. That's been backed. Hollywoodbets 12-1 into 6-1. 2 is at 9-2. Then we go to the 15-10 shot, which is number 8, William West, Justin Snate and Richard Faree. And then number 9, Simply Beautiful, is at 6-1. Let's firstly touch on William West, Graham, who made that promising debut, and then I see last time out was reported not striding. There were valid excuses in that feature last time out. So you're going to judge him on his debut, I presume.
I think one has to. I love following the 2-year-olds. It's after the 1st of April, so the 2-year-olds can run in open company. And generally speaking, a good 2-year-old at this time of the year will go a long way to beating moderate maidens who've been knocking around in this division for so long. And of course, Simply Beautiful and Ponte Vecchio and Captain Casanova fall into that category. But obviously, we've got to take on trust that number 8, William West, will deliver the kind of performance he showed on debut when running second to Speeding Bullet. He then ran in the feature, as you mentioned, but the point was that he was not striding out behind. That was back on the 28th of January, so Justin Snaith has had plenty of time to work on the very well-bred son of William Longsword. Richard Faree takes the ride. He's a bit skinny in the market, 14-10, 15-10, but obviously if it's all systems go for him, he could be far too good for this field. So you've got to take a view as far as the bipod and the place accumulator is concerned. I'm going to go light in the first 2 legs of the bipod and light in this leg of the place accumulator. I'm going to put my faith in the fact that William West is going to put that poor run behind him last time as a result of obviously something going wrong in the running, and judge him on his debut. And on that debut run, he should comfortably have the beating of this field, although the betting support for number 1, Elusive Winter, is interesting.
Yeah, you'll see this happen more often as the season moves along. 2-year-olds in open company. I think the first winner was Mike de Cox runner with Craig Zaki up in Gauteng. So let's see how this juvenile goes. And worth noting that the 1, Elusive Winter, is also a 2-year-old that's been backed 12-1 into 6-1. So that's race number 3. Then on to the big one, the Pick Six, and I think we're going to get a sizable pool here. I had a look at the fields, and usually you can gauge just by the size of the fields, the competitiveness of the racing, what type of pool you're going to attract, and I think this is going to be a sizable one. It starts at 13.55. I say it starts at, well, you need to get your bets on before that. It's over 1,000 meters, and this is how they're betting. Number 1, 5-1. 2, Jury Duty, is at 5-2. Then we have number 3 at 7-1, 4 at 5-2, 5 at 11-2, and number 9 is a scratching at the time of recording. So we got 8 runners that go to post. This horse, Jury Duty, I must compliment Adam Marcus, because she's lightly raced as a 5-year-old, Graham. She's only having a 16 start, but she's already won 4 times, and she seems to be in excellent form.
He's done an incredible job with this 5-year-old mare, as you say. She's had 15 starts for her 4 wins, and she seems to win at every other start. That's a bit of a worry because she won last time out, beating Axel. Prior to that, she ran 5th. Prior to that, she won. Prior to that, she ran 6th. Prior to that, she won. So it seems to be every other run that she ends up in the winner's enclosure. But obviously, she's got the form to win this race. Now, talking about the Pick Six, races 4 all the way through to 9, they're not big fields, but they're all tricky handicaps. And you're going to have to take a chance here and there. I think that although she's got the beating of Tuscan Gold on the run on the 1st of March, I think Tuscan Gold, forget about his last run at Hollywoodbets Durbanville, judge him on his form prior to that. Eric Sands has got some nice runners at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth this afternoon. I think we're going to see him in the winner's enclosure at least once, if not more often. So I think Jury Duty and Tuscan Gold make up a very viable shortlist. But Camille Claudel, Seeking Peace, was a very good win over its last start. That was at Hollywoodbets Durbanville. Whether the Daughter of Wadawinter can replicate that form down the straight here at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth remains to be seen. She has, of course, won over the course and distance, but that was some time back. But Ashton Aries takes the ride from Mike Stewart, and Ashton has been doing particularly well on the travels. Pork de Var always has a chance to upset the apple cart. But I'm going to narrow this down. Those who want to play their perms aggressively, perhaps rely on numbers 2, Jury Duty, and 5, Tuscan Gold. If you want to go a little wider, then you've got to include numbers 1 and 4. But Jury Duty will give you a very good run for your money. She's going to have to be at her best to hold off number 5, Tuscan Gold. That's what I think in the opening leg of the Pick Six.
That's race number 4. Race number 5 at 14:30 is over 1,000 meters. And this is how they're betting here in the 5th race, where we have 9 runners that go to post, no scratchings at the time of recording. Number 1 is at 8-1. Then we go on to number 4 at 7-1. Number 5, She's My Captain, is 23-10. 6 is at 7-2. 7, Enemy Territory, is at 4-1. Graham, this filly Enemy Territory, as we know, she's 6 months behind with regards to her age, but she put in a good post-maiden run. And then She's My Captain, Richard Fourie seems to get the right tune out of this filly, Graham.
Yes, Richard Fourie certainly gets on well with the Daughter of Captain of All. Now, of course, the key form line here is their last run behind Hunting Trip. She's My Captain, albeit that was at Hollywoodbets Durbanville. So we've got to factor into the reckoning that they're going down the straight. But if you look at that last run behind Hunting Trip, She's My Captain was second, half a length behind Hunting Trip. Miss Marguerite, third, another half a length further back. Different Face was fourth, a neck further back. Enemy Territory was fifth. There was a length covering those 4 runners, and there's clearly very little to choose between them. It's a different course. They're going down the straight, and I fancy that number 7, Enemy Territory, is going to continue to improve, and she can perhaps turn the form around with She's My Captain, Miss Marguerite, and Different Face. But I think all 4 of those have certainly got to go into the play as far as the exotics are concerned. And then don't leave out number 1, Palo Queen. She's got good form behind Jury Duty. We mentioned Jury Duty earlier, and she's quite nicely weighted in this race. She's at quite big odds in the early betting, but Palo Queen, you've certainly got to go through into the mix. So I think you need at least 5 runners here as far as the jackpots and pick six is concerned. All of numbers 1, 5, 6, 7, and 9. And your rule, Jesus, if you're putting in more than half the field, you put in the field. So that's up to you.
Yeah, I think so, Graham, because I looked at that Hunting Trip form line, and as you pointed out, they were all on top of each other. It's a blanket finish. How do you separate them this time around? It's a different course. It's down the lane. It's not around the turn. And then if Jury Duty happens to, not go with the pattern of not winning this time out, in and out, then guys will get confident with your selection here as one to include number 1, Palo Queen. So keep a close eye on race number 4, Jury Duty. I think that will definitely build your confidence if you are in the camp of number 1 in race number 5. Race number 6 is over 1,000 meters, and they're betting number 1, 8-1, 2 at 8-1, 3, 7-1, 4, 5-1, 5 at 5-2, 6 at 7-1, 7 at 8-1, 8 at 4-1, and I'll give you number 9, Graham, at 14-1. I took down the betting here because it is 5-2 on top, number 5, Trivial Matter. And then if you look past that individual, there's plenty of value to be had with any of your other fancies here, Graham.
Well, I mentioned earlier that I think Eric Sands is going to at least win one race. I think his strongest chance of winning is possibly here with number 5, Trivial Matter. He also has Perfect Trust a little bit later on that I fancy, but we'll get to that race a little bit later on. And Trivial Matter is knocking very loudly at the door. He's been placed behind Mufasa, very close up behind Mufasa in its last 2 starts. We saw Mufasa come out and win the Easter Sprint last week. It's not cut and dried, but I'm inclined from a personal point of view. I'm going to certainly structure most of my play around number 5, Trivial Matter, getting home on this occasion. But again, the handicap suggests that there's not going to be too much to choose between them as they hit the line. All of Piroshka, Ragnar Lothbrok, Bluff on Bluff, Elusive Trader, and even Sonic Burst to a slight extent have got chances. But I'm going with Trivial Matter to beat Ragnar Lothbrok, Bluff on Bluff, then Elusive Trader and Piroshka. But in most of my play, I'm going to take a chance and row in with number 5, Trivial Matter, in quite a big way, because there are so many of these handicaps in the Spec 6 that are competitive that you've got to take a stance somewhere. And I'm really just hoping that Trivial Matter gets rewarded for his consistency coming into this race.
Well, that's good. Graham's giving us some confidence here in race number 6 in a highly competitive race with number 5, Trivial Matter. That could be the banker on the day. So let's take a chance there in the 6th race and go with Eric Sands and Grant Vernica. On to the 7th, which is over 1,800 meters. It's a fillies and mares class 4, which is a D division class. It's 1,800 meters. And let's have a look at the betting here. Well, number 3, Virginia Sweet, we know there is a form update. At the time of recording, she's still a runner. We'll see if she runs. She won the East Cape Oaks in Kabeja last time out, and what a win it was from her, beating Silver Lynx. She's on top of the boards at 17-10. That's at the time of recording. Number 4 is at 5-1. Number 5 is at 8-1. 6 a 3-1 shot. 7's a 7-1 shot. Graham, I don't know how we're going to read this because I don't know if she'll take her place or not. I think let's do it 2 ways. If she runs, give us your selection, and if she doesn't run, give us your selections. Yeah, I'm talking about Virginia Sweet.
Yeah, I doubt very much she's going to run. I'm surprised she hasn't been scratched yet. I tried to see if the handicappers had updated her rating, because that's going to be critical.
Sure.
She's currently off a 76 mark, and she beat Silver Lynx at level weight, who's a 97. So quite what they're going to do with Virginia Sweet's rating remains to be seen. I think for certain she's going to come out. If she doesn't come out, we don't know what weight she's going to carry. She might be lumped with 63 kilograms here, depending on the penalty that they've given her as a result of beating Silver Lynx, who's at 97 at level weight in the East Cape Oaks. So I'm pretty sure we can ignore Virginia Sweet. But in any case, until we know either whether she's scratched or B, if she runs, what weight she's carrying, it's very difficult to work this out. So I'm going to ignore Virginia Sweet and suggest that Peut-être Moi is the one to beat. It's one of these trappy little fillies and mares handicaps. You've got to include number 4, Supreme Dream. You've got to include number 5, Summer Night City. And most importantly, you've got to include number 7, Royal Invitation. I think this one is ready to run a big race as well. So those are the principal runners. I don't believe Virginia Sweet's going to run. And in her absence, I think that Peut-être Moi is the one to beat here. But healthy respect for Royal Invitation and the fast improving and very well-bred Supreme Dream. Now, Supreme Dream beat Peut-être Moi last time out. She was in receipt of 2 kilograms. Now they meet at level weight. So I'm expecting Peut-être Moi to reverse the order. But that being said, Peut-être Moi has been very well exposed, whereas Supreme Dream, the younger filly, beautifully bred, is fast improving. So she may be able to, to rise above the weight difference and confirm the form with Peut-être Moi. So you certainly can't leave out Supreme Dream.
So, Graham suggesting that this race looks a bit tricky if number 3, Virginia Sweet, is a scratching. After a winner of the East Cape Oaks, we'll have 8 runners that go to post. I like his thinking after the banker there, Trivial Matter, maybe in race number 6, we have some gap to try and play it wider here with our perm in race number 7. So we move along to race number 8. It's over 1,400 meters, and this is a class 4 fillies and mares. It's a D division handicap. Number 1, Copper View, is an 8-1 shot. 3, Perfect Trust. This is the horse that Graham was alluding to earlier on when we spoke about Trivial Master. That's at 9-2. 5, Flying First, is at 3-1. And then it is number 7 at 9-2. 8 at 6-1. And 9, Mary Lamb. Justin Snate's runner with Furee up, a recent maiden winner. That's at 11-2. You wanted to tell us a bit more about Perfect Trust when we spoke earlier, Graham?
Yeah, she's also, to coin a phrase that you like to use, she always does enough to just keep us interested. She hasn't won for 398 days. This is her best distance. 1,400 meters, in my opinion, is very much her best distance. She's gradually coming down the ratings. I think she'll be very competitive. She's quite easy to back in the anti-post market. She is absolutely no good thing, but I do think she is the key runner in the race. Number 5, Flying First, has to give it 2.5 kilograms. Worth noting that Flying First has won her only start over the course and distance, and wasn't a bad effort behind the very talented Shantastic last time out. And she has still got plenty of scope for improvement, the daughter of Trippy. So 5 Flying First certainly goes into the play. Philosophize, we were on her last time when she won over 1,600 meters. She's got good consistent form, so you can't ignore number 7 Philosophize. And the interesting runner, of course, is number 8 Hirkomi Boki, because she's lightly raced. Good post-maiden run. Goes the 1,400 meters for the first time. Grant van Niekerk takes the ride for the first time for the Harold Crawford-Michelle Ricks combination. Any amount of improvement still to come from number 8, Hirkomi Boki. So that's got to go into the play. I'm happy to sideline Mary Lamb. It's not easy to leave out the Richard Fareed, Justin Snaith combination. And she might still have scope for more improvement because she's got a wonderful pedigree. And of course, she beat Cloud Chase, who came out to frank the form. But I think I'd like to see how she goes in the first post-maiden run. But I wouldn't be surprised if Mary Lamb did follow up. So better to be safe than sorry. And Copperview has a bit of a chance. But I do think that Perfect Trust is the one they're all going to have to beat. But clearly this is a race where you've got to go a little wider.
Yeah, that last start of Flying First, Graham, if I may, if you watch that start when they fitted her with blinkers, she seemed to be overdoing things. She was never settled at all in the running that day, Graham.
Yeah, and it was contrary to the way she was ridden when she won over this course and distance back in October of last year. Admittedly, that was in a maiden, but it was only her third start. And on that occasion, she came, despite being well drawn, she was drawn 2 out of 12 on that occasion, she was still given a chance by Keegan DeMello on that occasion and came from well back to win going away. So I would think that Elder de Meyer is going to ride her the same way. He rode her in a penultimate start. That was over 1,200 meters when she ran 4th, just a length behind multiple winner Touch of Grace. Prior to that, she was 3rd to Body Electric. So she's got the ability. And I think Elder de Meyer, I think his intention, it may not pan out that way, but I think his intention would be to give her a chance and to tuck her in behind and let her finish off the race well.
Yeah, it's a good form line. Graham mentioned Fantastic. You can add What a State to that, Hunting Trip, and Miss Greenlight. It's a form line that one has to follow down in Cape Town. So Graham leaning towards number 3, Perfect Trust. I think a lot of respect for number 5 there, Flying First in race number 8. Those 2 horses, Place Accumulator, I think will be good enough. Pick 6, you can possibly take a chance in race number 8. In the 9th race, 1,400 meters, this is a class 5, which is an E division class. This is how they're betting, Graham. Number 1, 3 to 1, 3, 33 to 10, 4, 6 to 1, 6 is at 7 to 1, and then we go down to number 9, Raising Quinn, which is a 3 to 1 shot. Well, Paper Trail last time out, you gave me the confidence. I actually liked the horse, and you just stamped it with approval with your assessment of the race. I don't know what happened there at Durbanville, but at Kenilworth, he's not at his best at this course, Graham.
Yeah, I was very disappointed, obviously, with his last run because, as you say, we were big on him at a big price. And I expected him from a good draw to go to the front, and I couldn't believe it when I saw him tucking in some 8 lengths off the early pace as they came into the straight. I thought, wow, that's not where I expected him to be. The race didn't get run the way I thought it would get run. But yes, he has never won at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. Obviously, both his career victories have come at Hollywoodbets Durbanville. But that said, he's definitely got a chance in this race. But I mentioned that we've got some competitive handicaps in the pick 6. This is the most open of them all. If you get through to the last leg, having narrowed down cleverly some of the earlier legs, you want the whole field here. This is definitely a field race. It's a class 5. It's the lowest division you can get, over 1,400 meters. Like the Clappers, is likely to show a lot of improvement. His post-maiden run and his first with the stable wasn't bad behind Seeking Peace. Plenty of scope for improvement. Veronique has got good, consistent form. Slurry Kane hasn't raced in September. Paper Trail we've discussed. Air of Royalty there and thereabouts. Captive Moon for Adam Marcus has been terribly disappointing. He rates this horse. He cannot understand why he's running so badly. And if he suddenly put his best foot forward and came to win a race like this, nobody would be surprised. I guess Major Winter has got a lot to find. Radames, Shane Humby still searching for his first winner since relocating back to Cape Town. That can improve. Raising Quinn, obvious claims. Rock and Tommy, perhaps held. But it's one of those funny little races. And you'd like to be closing out the pick 6 and jackpot 2 with the field in this leg. And hopefully you've come through the earlier legs. I'm going to give Paper Trail a bit of a chance. Veronique, obviously one of the shortlist, like the Clappers and Raising Quinn. So if you're not looking to include the field and you want to narrow this down, then I would go with at least numbers 1 like the Clappers, 2 Slurry Cane, 3 Veronique, 4 Paper Trail, 6 Captive Moon, and 9 Raising Quinn. That would be at a minimum is what I would include in the last race. It's a terrible race. It's very open, and any kind of result can be expected.
Well, thanks, Graham. I think in closing, the way I read the card is that we're going to begin in race number 2 with a Distant Winter, and then we're going to follow up in race number 6 with Trivial Matter. That's where your play seems to be on the day if you're looking for a double, but more importantly for that pick 6, race 6, that's going to be the play Trivial Matter.
Yeah, that's one that I'm really quite strong on. Even though it's a competitive handicap, somewhere along the way you've got to nail your colours to the mask, and I'm expecting Trivial Matter to give us a superb run for our money and hopefully keep his nose in front.
Well, thanks to Graham for his input at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth on Tuesday the 11th from the entire team at Gallop TV and myself, Dees Dana. Well, hopefully everything goes according to plan. You make a huge profit and find all the winners on this Tuesday. Until we meet again, you take care. Salanikas.